Hi everybody, it's Chris here. How are you doing? Welcome back to the live series. This is 30 Excel VBA real world problems and solutions. This is part 22. A big welcome if you're watching live. If you're watching on the replay, you want to skip all of the hellos and the parish notices, all that stuff. Just skip through to the learning content. But what's the point of this series? Well, there's many people out there who know a little bit of VBA. There's lots of people who can do a bit with the macro recorder. But there's not a lot of people who are getting real value out of VBA, who really feel in control of what's going on, that they understand which bit of VBA to use for which real world problem. So this series is aimed at people like you. You're not an absolute beginner, you know a bit of VBA, and you're looking to bridge the gap between the problems you're encountering in the real world and those bits of VBA you have. That's what we're doing in this series. I went through a load of my real world projects when I first devised this series, and I came up with 30 bits of VBA that just come up time and again in my real world projects. So that's what we're doing. It's part 22 today. A big welcome. We're going to get the random problem generator open in just a second, but a big welcome to people who are tuning in. If you're with us live, guys, make sure you say hello in the chat. Big welcome to Jeffrey. How are you doing, Jeffrey? Managed to complete the client call to be here on time. Fantastic, Jeffrey. Good to have you with us. How have you been finding the series, Jeffrey? You've been watching quite a few episodes, so thanks so much for your support. Let me know in the comments how you've been doing. Katie with us as well. Katie's been a great support of this series too, so thank you so much, Katie. Good to be with you today. And Jazz is with us as well. Thank you very much to Jazz for saying I can see and hear you. And Jazz says, yes, are you going to stick around later for Members Monday? Absolutely. Yeah, if you like this content, guys, you'll love our Members Monday member community. And if you'd like let me put the banner on here. If you'd like a free bonus video, then you can go ahead, hit the link in the video description below. It's called The Secrets of the Random Content Generator, and this is an additional video taken from our Members Monday community where I explain some of the secrets of the random content generator. So you just got to put your email in. When I send this to you, I'll also send you information about our Members Monday member learning community. If you like this live stuff, you're going to love Members Monday. So without further ado, let's get into the random problem generator. Not many problems left, guys. We've only got about 9 problems left. So let's hit start and let's see what we're going to be working on today. There go the balls. Are you ready? Okay, there go the balls. Got a little animation going. I was thinking in Members Monday today, which is at 5 o'clock in our members area, I would maybe explain how this animation is done. Of course, it's not really an animation. It's just bringing together a few things in Excel to get this cool kind of interactive effect, which I think is pretty cool. Is it the first thing you should learn in Excel? Probably not. But occasionally, you just got to have a bit of fun in Excel. I think that's important. Okay, here we go. The winner is find the dimensions of the data set. Finding the dimensions of a data set. I think this is a great follow-up to what we did in session 21. On Friday, and it's something we've touched on so many times through this series. That's because it's a huge part of Excel practice generally, and particularly VBA coding. How are we going to handle changing data set size? Literally this afternoon, I've been working with a customer online. We're trying to fix one of the Excel files that we built for them. They've changed their IT platform and things need to be reconnected. Works through pivot tables. That's why I don't usually use pivot tables, guys. It does work through pivot tables. What are we doing? We're trying to get this pivot table to work for a changing data set. So we're using tables and Power Query to get it all going. Not using VBA on this project, guys. Trying to look at alternatives to VBA as much as I can to really broaden my skill sets. But this is what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, who's in the chat? So before we get started, how do you handle a data set that's changing size? Size in Excel or in Excel VBA. And we'll go through a few approaches generally in Excel generally and in VBA, but this is happening all the time. You know, data is always changing, and good to see people coming in, by the way. Lee's coming in. Lee, how are you doing? Yeah, Lee's working with football data, of course. Football data, every week we have new results coming into the data. So we've got to build our analysis with sufficient dynamic quality to be able to handle those additional rows coming in. Albert, how are you doing? Good to see you back with us today. And Juja is with us. Juja, how are you doing? Big welcome to you. Yeah, so this is our question. How do you handle a data set that's changing size? Katie, absolutely. So Katie's saying, I use pivot tables for virtually everything, trying to move away from this. You know, I'd say everything has pros and cons, doesn't it? Everything has pros and cons. I'd say for the general Excel user, pivot tables are pretty good. As long as you can get to know the interface, you can set one up, you can get all those fields set up. They are very powerful. On the cons, on the downside, you know, they can be difficult to control. They kind of change their own layout. That can be annoying, but I think the pros do outweigh the cons generally. We've got a video on the channel, by the way, Katie, called Why I Don't Use Pivot Tables. A bit of a provocative title, but given the choice, I actually wouldn't use a pivot table. I would use VBA, but to some extent, that's a personal thing. To some extent, it's because I'm just right. Okay, let's move on. Right, Albert is with us. Good topic. I've been updating my VBA code with data set that changes every month. I think a lot of people are in a situation or a similar situation to you, Albert, where they've got a data set that changes size, and the only way that they deal with it is by updating the formulae or updating the range that the pivot table refers to, or manually updating the VBA. Yeah, so that's an example of a non-dynamic solution. Big welcome to Jyoti here. Jyoti, how are you doing? And thank you for watching us live. Whereabouts are you watching us from? Good. Okay. Joel in with a question. Can VBA used for option training? It could be used for anything, Joel. So have a look around on the channel and get some ideas. Jazz says I'm always right. You know this, Jazz. Oh, Jazz, I had something to talk about one of your questions. I was going to talk about it in this stream. I'll see if it comes to me. Okay, right. Let's close down the random problem selector for the time being. And we've just got our live demo file here. Okay, so find dimensions of a data set. Dynamically. How to do that? Yeah. What does dynamic mean in this context? Okay, what does dynamic mean in this context? Yeah, I'm always talking about dynamic quality. You know, you should aspire, you know, if you want to make your life easier, but also if you want to improve your coding skills, you should aspire to create code that's dynamic. So what does dynamic mean in this context, in the context of VBA, specifically in the context of a data set that might change size? And now it says, yeah, when new data comes in with a workbook, define the last row with cell. Yes, and now we're getting into a few techniques that might help us. Absolutely. Let's make a note of a few techniques that might help. And we'll definitely talk through a few of these. So we've got techniques down here. And Albert saying, yes, dot end, Excel up or Excel down, Excel to right, Excel to left. Yeah, when we're talking about the VBA, this is definitely going to crop up. So good stuff. So dynamic in this context means our approach must work for when rows are added or deleted. Okay, this is the idea. You know, if you're doing any kind of VBA tool, whether it's for yourself, for your colleague, for someone in your family, or for me, doing stuff for paid customers, been working on 3 client projects so far today. It's just got to work this way. Okay, let's go through some ideas then. So techniques in VBA, dot end, Excel up, absolutely. The simplest approach, though, if you're like Chris, I don't want to go too deep into Excel, just give me the best approach that works for most people most of the time, is to use tables. Okay, Excel tables. Right, so we've got a data range. I'm just going to go ahead and do something completely contrived here. I'm going to say equals column and column number. So use the column formula here. I want column 1. So H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. So if I say column and column minus 7 and put a space in there, this should give me column 1 there. Okay. And then control R here. Yes. let's go ahead and create some data. Right, I'm just going to use random numbers today. So between 1 and 10, 1 and 100 to make it a bit more exciting, we'll do me, and then Control R, Control D here, and then Control C, Control Alt V, V to fix those to values. We've done a lot of that in this series, haven't we? Generating random data in Excel. Okay, this is what I recommend. You're like, Chris, I don't want to go deep into VBA. Just tell me what to do. I'll tell you what to do. Okay, just use a table. Yeah, go to Format as Table, and then stick the formatting up, and then you'll get some options. You know, perfectly straightforward to work through. You can click OK. Ooh. Formulas or rich data types. Okay, fair enough. Yes, because this was a formula. I never knew that. When you create a table, if you got formulas in column headers, yes, that's an unusual situation. I do admit. They will be converted to values. Okay, fair enough. So now we've got a table. Now the advantage of this is if we put data in, here's a test. Come on, table. If we put data in, say ran between 1 and 100 here, the data has automatically expanded, has it? I think so. Yeah, has what? This is why I don't personally work with tables. I generally find different approaches. Yeah, so I just put some data in the bottom. Is it because they're formulae that's happened? Control C, Control Alt V, V. Okay, yes. What I would like a table to do is seamlessly add this data to the bottom of the table and automatically adjust the range of the table. Okay, and a lot of the time it does do that, and it seems to work fine. You've also got this little handle down here that you can use to expand the range of the table there. Okay, so gives you a sense of what's possible with tables. But the point is, yeah, they give us some dynamic quality without doing much work because, for example, if I want to sum up all the values in this column, I go ahead and select the values. You'll see Excel's going to put the table notation in there. Yeah, the table notation goes in. That means if we add more values at the bottom, this formula should still work. So you're avoiding the situation where you're having to update your formula or your code or whatever just because new data is being added. So that's my most practical solution. Not VBA, not Power Query, nothing like that. Just get used to using Excel tables, get used to this notation. Very quickly, you'll be better than me at manipulating them. Okay. So let's Control Z here. Let's just go back to data, and then I'm going to convert these to values to Control C, Control Alt V, V. Okay, so you're like, Chris, okay, tables, why can't I just use tables then? Absolutely. I think you could have an Excel career that's perfectly fine, a very successful Excel career, just using tables in Excel. And as I said, I'm by no means an expert. That is not a particularly good demonstration of tables. What are some of the problems with tables? Well, I just experienced a few there. I don't find them super user-friendly. Is the data being added at the bottom? I'm not absolutely sure. That doesn't seem to be absolutely consistent. We had a situation today, literally this afternoon, when I was working with this customer. We were trying to bring a table in from another sheet using Power Query, from another file using Power Query. It just wasn't clear whether it was working or not. Okay, so there seems to be a few problems with tables. Very much as with pivot tables, they just seem to bring a lot of infrastructure into the file, and that brings some problems with it. So my approach, some things I use tables for, but if you gave me the choice, and I've got plenty of customers who are like, just do it with VBA. Yeah, I've got multiple customers over the years have said to me, we don't want any tables. We don't want pivot tables. We want one of your nice macros. We want buttons, and we want everything to work super smoothly. If you want that super smooth, sophisticated click of a button functionality, you're better off using VBA for that. It's going to give you a lean and mean solution. Okay, for example, if we're working in VBA, we can use ranges. We don't have to use tables, yeah, which means all of the stuff we just had hanging around in the file, that formatting, that drag handle thing, that table, that additional object in the file, we don't need it now. So it's like this Spartan approach to Excel development. There's very, very little there. It's just you and the data. There's no intermediary there, pivot table or formula, whatever it might be. It's just you and the data facing off in VBA. We're not facing off though. We're working together. Okay. So that gives you a sense. So today's session, it does come with that kind of health warning. You don't have to jump into VBA for this necessarily. Hi, Charles. How are you doing? Good to see you again. How are you getting on? And Jeffrey is saying, yeah, comment on tables. I think records inserted within the table become part of the table, but at the bottom is beyond the table. Okay, right. So you'd have to bring that drag handle down. I thought that was the whole point of tables, that when you put data in at the bottom, they automatically expanded. So you wouldn't have to update all your formulae and stuff. I thought that was the whole point of tables. Jeez, there's so many misconceptions out there. And I lose sleep over this because people are wasting time. They're wasting their lives with this kind of thing. Right. I wish there was an easier way to convert the formulas to regular formulas from a table. I don't like tables, especially if you can reset the data set. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Charles saying, loving the rare meeting free time to join the live stream. Good stuff. Good stuff, Charles. Okay. So if you want to kind of come on an adventure with me and you think VBA might suit, then the question is, okay, how do we define the size of the table? Because it might have fewer rows, we might lose data, or we might gain data. Yeah, Control C, Control V here. Yeah, our technique's still got to work. Okay, right. So let's go ahead. Let's get the Excel VBA developer open here. The editor rather, shift and right and shift and left. So make sure you can get this set up on your PC. If you've got multiple screens, that's fantastic, but one screen is fine. And as I always say, I run this off a 13-inch laptop. I do a lot of my development just on a 13-inch laptop when I'm out and about or when I'm looking after the baby inside. Right, so we can insert a module here. And let's go option explicit. Okay. So sub find data set size. Okay. So let's suppose we want to do a couple of things. Let's suppose we want to find the average. Find mean average of values in table, and then find the aggregate. So find the sum of values in table. And then must work if data is added or taken away. Good. Okay, so firstly, how could we find the average without using a workbook formula? Here we go. We're going to the meta level now. Let's link to another session. How can we find the average without using a formula? Might that be possible? There we go. So referencing another session, 3 or 4 sessions ago, we had a session where we discussed this. Okay, let's have, I'm going to say dim av output as, I'm going to say double here. Yeah, I'm going to say double. I'm using a double variable here. You could use an integer variable, but that's going to round. Yeah, an integer variable is going to round to the nearest whole number. A double variable allows decimals. Okay, then I'm going to say dim sum output as integer. You know, that's going to be okay as an integer, isn't it? Because we don't have any decimals in the data here. Okay, so store aggregate of data. So we've got 2 variables, and variables are just places to store information, of course. And how could we find the average? And Jazz is saying, yeah, without a formula, how could we do that? So we're definitely in the VBA world now. You know, we're assuming that our customer or whatever situation you're in the real world, you know, people are happy to use VBA. That means you can get everything done in VBA. How to do this? Well, let's try application.worksheet function. So I'm going to say sum output here equals application.worksheet function. There we go. Now, a couple of sessions ago in the Excel VBA 30 real world problems and solutions series, we did a session on application.worksheet function. What it allows us to do is to call a worksheet formula to access a worksheet formula from the VBA editor. If we say application.worksheet function.average, I'm just going to give myself a bit of extra room here, space and underscore. You don't have to do that. That's just for display purposes. Ready? Okay, so application.worksheet function.average is how Excel is reading this. And then I'm going to say, look, these are all the arguments I can put in. Then I'm going to say range H4 to M14. Just looking at these references, range H4 to M14 in there, and close the brackets. Then we do have a spelling mistake there. This is a spelling mistake. Let me just see what happens. Because we've got option explicit, Excel should point out that spelling mistake straight away. If we didn't have option explicit, then that wouldn't happen. So just a shout out to option explicit there, right? Why not? So sum output. Let's have a message box here. The sum of the values is, and sum outputs. There we go. Okay, what's going to happen here? So if we want to quickly find the average in Excel, again, without using a formula, but by selecting the data here, we can see average 60.2 there. But we want the sum, don't we? So the sum being 3975 here. Okay, H4 to M14. So I'm going to hit the F5 key and I can see the sum of the values is 60. Yep, so I seem to have mixed up averages and the sums there. So let's fix that. Does that work? Application.worksheet function.sum. We'll see F5. Yeah, the sum of the values is 3975. Okay, nice. Cool. So this is our static solution. You might say, well, Chris, we want our solution to be dynamic. Absolutely. But what's a good way to get to a dynamic solution? Do a static solution first. That's going to help you understand the shape of the code, the main syntax, and it's a nice base camp. It's a base camp to move towards your dynamic solution, because dynamic coding is complicated and it can be difficult to test as well. So just taking it step by step, doing a static solution first, that's fantastic. Yeah, so Jeffrey, thanks for pointing that out. And I think we've nailed that now. 18 people watching, fantastic. So big welcome to the series. And remember, guys, you can watch all 21 sessions so far from this series. We've got the playlist link in the video description below. Okay, cool. So we've got our static solution here. But what if this was to change? So what ideas did we have? What if our data set was to change? So dot ends, I think the original suggestion was dot end Excel up. Okay, let's work through these step by step, you know, from the easiest conceptually to the most difficult. So the first idea would be to start in the top left corner of the data set and then to go across until you get an empty cell. Go across until you get an empty cell. And that's the way to define our data set. We can do that with dot end Excel to right. And then we've got the same idea, looking down, going through the rows. We start in the top left corner and then we go down until we get to an empty cell, and then Excel stops. And that we could do with the same concept, the same syntax, dot end. It's not Excel to down, it's dot end Excel down. Okay. Let's give this a go. I'm going to say number of rows here. Integer, so number of rows to include in calculation. And then I'm going to do the same with columns. Number of columns as integer. So this is going to be number of cols to include in calculation. So you might say, well, Chris, you seem to be using a lot of variables, you know, and that would be a valid critique, I would say. You could do this without variables. Yep, you could integrate that dot end Excel down, dot Excel to blah, 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 blah. You could integrate that all into one line of code. Yep, I've learned over the years that's stressful. Yeah, an aim of your coding session should be to keep your stress level down. Keep your stress level down. Yeah, low stress means long and productive coding sessions. That's why I'm doing these intermediary steps. Creating a variable that gives us another step. Yeah, so let's get the value into the variable, and then we can use it to do something else rather than trying to do everything at once. Okay, now let's go. Going to create an anchor cell here. Yeah, so we're going to assume, and it's generally a sensible assumption to make, that your data, yeah, it might have more rows, it might have more columns, but the top left corner of the anchor cell is going to be fixed. That's generally a safe assumption to make. In exceptional situations, might not be. So I'm just going to say anchor top left here. There we go. So just created that name quickly. Using the name box in the top left. If we go to formulas and name manager, I can confirm that that name now exists. Okay, so working through this, getting the dimensions of a data set. Let's have with end with here. So with sheet 1, with sheet 1 here, almost did the code name reference there, which would have been possible. And then end with. Once again, not necessary, but simplifies the code. And if I was doing this, like this morning when I was doing code for a customer, I'll put an annotation here, and I'd say with sheet 1. And you might say, well, Chris, that's definitely too much. That's overkill. You don't need to do that because these two lines of code are right next to each other. Well, they might not be. They might not be in 20 minutes. Then it might not be in 2 days. They might not be in 2 years. When you're trying to come back to this file to understand what on earth you were doing. So annotations definitely help with this. Okay, number of rows equals, maybe we could go even further here and say, okay, let's give this a go. Dot range, and then what was the name of our named range? Anchor top left there. Anchor top left with the underscores, of course. Okay. Number of rows equals, so dot end, Excel down, dot row. This is going to be interesting. Right. Let's just comment out these a second. Let's just see, does this get us somewhere close? So I know this is not going to do everything, not going to solve the problem. It's going to get us a step closer, I think. Right. What value is going to pop up here? Okay, welcome, Henrik. How are you doing? Thanks for your comments on the stream so far, Henrik. Always appreciate the motivational feedback there. Okay, so what value will the message box return here? Guys, I've just remembered what I wanted to speak about because it's a question you've asked me before, but I think it's one for Members Monday because it's about Excel drama in the Excel influencer world. So just remind me in Members Monday, we can talk about that. What value will the message box return here? And is the value even useful to us? Okay, Albert, I like it. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, we hope it returns a value of 12. Yeah, because how many rows have we got in the data? We've got, well, 11, hopefully. 11 is what we want, isn't it? Okay, we've got 11 rows in the data. Yeah, it would work with the anchor cell there. I think it's going to work better with the anchor cell, Alt-M-N there. It's going to work better if the anchor cell is actually here. So I'm just editing the name. Let's put that on the column header. It could work either way. I think it's slightly cleaner with the syntax if it's on the column header there. Okay. 12 rows. He's saying the sum of the values. And Jazz says, yeah, you're going to bring up the Excel drama. Very good. Right. Let's see what happens. Hit the F5 key here. Right. We've got 14. Is that even useful to us, 14? Okay, so let's consolidate this idea. Trial and error, repetition. Control-C, Control-V, put some more values in. What value is going to be returned now? I don't know. Let's learn. It doesn't matter. Let's repeat. Let's learn. 18. Okay, that's because we're down to row 18. Let's do it one more time and play it again. Okay, now we've got 14. So what we seem to be getting is the last row number of the data. Is that even useful to us? I'm telling you, it's potentially very useful, but we need a little more. We need a little more, don't we? So how can we get from, in an elegant and clean way, how can we get from the last row number to the number of rows? Getting from the last row number to the number of rows. Okay. That's right. It gives the row number in Excel. Absolutely, Albert. So yeah, we're a step closer, keeping those stress levels down, hopefully. So what about this one? This could be a bit of a mind-blowing moment, but let's see. So I'm going to subtract something for this. From this, what I want to subtract is this little chunk here, because this chunk is outside of the data set. How could we do that? How could we do that using an asset that we've already created? What about this? So we've got a named range there. So could we say to Excel, deducts the row number of the anchor cell, which is 3. That's going to take 3, that chunk from the top of the data. And we're well set up here, aren't we? We're well set up to do this because we've already got a with and with construct live here. So I can just go like this. Look at that. Oh, this is what it's all about, guys, really. So powerful. It's about those. You see how concise that construct is? Yeah. So concise, so powerful. Yep. Does it work? Let's see. But I just thought that looked beautiful. That construct, the conciseness of it, that packs a punch right there. So this is what we're looking to get to: powerful, concise VBA code. Right, let's play. What we've got now, we've got 11. Okay, seems to be good. Yeah, Jazz is absolutely right. This is the concept. You haven't quite got the numbers right, Jazz. That doesn't matter. We'll get them right, but the concept is right. Subtracting a little chunk from the top there. Good. Let's take some data away. F5, and we can see we've now got 9 rows. Some data back in. Control C, Control V. So I'm just copy pasting the values. Of course, the values doesn't really matter what the values is. It's just have some data in there. And now we've got 12 rows. Let's confirm that. Control Shift down. I can see at the bottom we've got a count there at 12. What about that? So it looks kind of innocuous, doesn't it? It's just a message box, but we've got the basic mechanism to give us dynamically the dimensions of data set. Lee, missed you out there. Absolutely on the money here. So it's all about the clear conceptual thinking. You know, if you can't explain the concept in your own language, it's going to be very difficult. You're only guessing, really. You might get it right, but you're only really guessing what the code might be. If you can explain it, and believe me, when I'm just here doing jobs on my own, I still talk out loud. I've got the dog here. She's gone outside for some reason. Not enjoying this stream, but I just talk to the dog most of the time. Yeah, that's my life. Okay. Right. If you're watching on replay, you've really got to stop this now. And we want to do the same thing for the columns. Okay. So conceptually, it's the same, but we're working on a different axis now. We're working across the columns. Okay. Yeah, and there's a little syntax quirk. I was going to say twerk then. That's syntax twerking is not a thing. I've not seen that on TikTok yet. It's a syntax quirk here. Okay, so you would think, okay, so I went down before. Yeah, absolutely. So logically, we're going to go right now. Yeah. That's it, right? Right? Is that right? Right? Yeah, good question from Jazz here. Yeah, so it would also work just to say -3 here, like this. Okay, why wouldn't you do that? Why is this solution marginally better? It's only marginally better, but why is this solution marginally better? But you're absolutely right. Yeah, and this is another one to be aware of. Welcome, DC. You could also use current region.rows.count. Now, current region will give you the dimensions of what's called the contiguous. I think that's the word, the contiguous data. Yep. Now, the reason I'm a bit wary of current region is if you've got a blank column for whatever reason, which does happen, then current region isn't going to work too well for you. So something to look out for there, and we'll look at the actual approach I use in a second. I've got to get going in a second. Okay. So it's not left, it's actually Excel to right. We're going to go for here. Okay. Yeah, Lee says, this is on the money. Putting in -3 no longer makes the code dynamic should the data set move. Absolutely. So should this data set move down? For example, if someone's going to add a row here, unlikely, you might say, but this will still work. Yeah. Because we're taking the value of this named range, this is still going to work. Whereas if you had a hard-coded value, this now actually wouldn't be accurate. So it's marginally better to do this, although in most situations, the static approach will work. So great contribution there from Lee. Good, so we should have the number of rows and number of columns now. Okay, let's go. So our syntax quirk is we have to say Excel to right. So Excel up, Excel down, Excel to right, Excel to left. Hit the F5 key now. Should have 12 and 0. Okay, so we've got dot row here. It needs to change this to dot column. This one to dot column. So we've recycled the syntax and then just changing a few things as we go. F5. So now we've got 12 and 5. Yeah. So we've got 6 columns here. Yeah, we do need an adjustment here. Now you could put your anchor cell here, and then you wouldn't need that adjustment, but we do need this static adjustment here. That's because the anchor cell is actually part of the data set, isn't it? It's just above the data set in terms of the rows. It's actually part of the data set in terms of the columns. This should give us what we need. Hit the F5 key, 12.4. 12.4. It should be plus 1, right? Yeah. There we go. Okay, 12.6, good. So if we delete these, and then what have we got? So it should be 12.4. Okay, and we are getting 12.4 there. Control Z and bring those back. Okay. So that's the basic idea. We're then going to bring these variables together to define the range that we want to look at. Okay, now I recommend using a variable for this as well. So let's say dim, let's say calculation range, calc range as string here, and this is the address of the data set dynamically defining. There we go. So we're going to combine these variables together to work with another variable to give us our overall approach. Right. Final question here. Final question. So how do we deal with empty rows or columns? Now you would have seen this approach on the channel. What's going to happen here? So our approach works fine, as I said, if our data is contiguous. And contiguous means there's no blank cells in there. Okay, but you occasionally have blank cells, and it's a difficult thing to control for. You can't always cleanse the data. We can't always guarantee that. What's going to happen here, for example, if I run this code, if you're watching on replay, make sure you stop the stream and try to do this, work this out. What value will our message box return now? Because we've got a blank cell here. Here's our anchor cell. There's a blank cell here. I'm going to run the code now. Just hit the play button. Now we've got 5. Actually, columns in the data set. We've still got 12. Same thing could happen here. So you've got a column header missing. Who knows? Someone's accidentally gone into the spreadsheet and deleted the column header. This kind of thing happens all the time in organizations. Now we've got 5 and 3. Okay, so how can we improve our approach to make it kind of bulletproof, I would say? And this is the approach I actually use. So we're currently working from an anchor cell and then moving away. So we're moving down or moving across. What would an alternative approach be? Yeah, and there's some sensible ideas come in. So Katie's saying, yes, could we populate the blank cells with a 0? Yeah, you could do some kind of treatment of the data. That's possible. Depends on what your situation is. For the leanest, meanest, cleanest approach, you wouldn't have to do any treatment of the data here. Yeah, and I often work in situations where people, football being one of them, people are downloading files from the internet, and then they want those files to work with the Excel VBA tool I'm giving them. So I won't have the chance to do any treatment of the data. So is there an approach that works without doing any treatment of the data here? Okay, good. Good, yep. Got the concepts here. So use Albert's using the bottom of the sheet and end Excel up. And Lee's absolutely right. So conceptually, rather than yeah, as we said, rather than starting in the anchor cell and then working down, we could start at the bottom of Excel and work up, or we could start on the right hand of Excel and then work to the left. Okay, and DC is saying, yeah, absolutely. With current region, it would still capture that, given there wasn't an entire row or column blank. Yeah. DC, you can do what you like, mate. I don't use current region because that for me it's too much of a risk. Yeah. And that's going to return some, yeah, that's certainly going to return some errors. So yeah, current region, lots of people bang the drum for current region. I think if you're already in VBA, there's better solutions. Yeah. If you're already in VBA, there's more comprehensive solutions. Okay. Yeah, fair point, DC. Work from the bottom left can still have a flaw if there's excess contents and rows and columns outside the data set. Yep, so if you have some like erroneous data down here, yeah, someone's made some notes, who knows, you know, that's possible. Or if you had some data over here, that's possible. In my view and my pretty epic experience of dealing with this kind of thing, that's less likely than having an empty row or column in the data. So yeah, pros and cons with everything, up to you to appreciate those and to experience and to make the best selection for your situation. Right. So I'm going to have to power through this quickly. I won't be able to explain it all, but we're going to change our approach here. Okay, we're just going to say with sheet 1. So we're going to dispense with the anchor cell to some extent. So number of rows equals, we're going to use dot cells. We've seen dot cells many times in this series. So dot cells, rows.count takes us to the bottom of the spreadsheet. And then you can choose a column. In fact, I'm going to say dot range anchor top left. There we go. Okay. So we said we wouldn't use the anchor cell, but we're still retaining it here. Okay. And we're just taking the column there, the column that that named range is in. And then we can say dot end Excel up dot row. This is what I propose. I'm just going to step through this, hit the F8 key. How have we done? Yeah, we've managed to get 16 in there. And then once again, we'd want some kind of adjustment. We saw how we can do it dynamically earlier on. Just for brevity now, I'm going to do that in a static way, but you could say, you could use the named range as we did earlier on to do that. Okay, so same idea here. So dot cells are going to go all the way to the right-hand side of the spreadsheet. Columns count, and then let's try this. Then once again, the row of the named range, dot row bracket dot ends, and Excel to left, dot column. And then again, we want some kind of manual adjustment there, which in this case, how many columns have we got? In this case, it's going to be 7 columns there, isn't it? I can just see Excel visually telling me there, 7 columns. So once again, possible to do that dynamically. I'm just going to do it in a static way for brevity because we're coming to the end of the stream here. Also going to go underscore and enter. In the line of code here and -7. Okay, let's see how we do. Okay, let's give this a go. Use the F8 key. So number of rows is 12. Number of columns got -6. That wasn't what we wanted. Okay. Right, let's simplify this then. Yes. This is the wrong way around, of course. So rows got to go first. Okay, so rows, then columns. Look. Let's have a look. Otherwise, I'm going to have to rewrite this from scratch. Take a second. Number of columns, we've got 6. Number of rows, we've got 12. Okay. So let's go delete a couple of columns here. Okay, let's play the code now. Okay, 12 and 4 seems accurate. Let's put 1 row on the bottom here. Control-C, Control-V. Okay, 13, 4. Okay, yeah. So had to rush through that a little bit, but you can see this all over the place on the channel. And we have a video which is called Excel VBA Position Control Mastery in 13 one-line macros. Little gem of a video from 2 or 3 years ago. It's about 10 minutes long. It takes you through this process step by step. Okay, so let's quickly put dynamic. Let's quickly define the whole range. You've got the number of row and the number of rows, number of columns here. So how do we get that into a range? So if we say calc range equals, so dot range, anchor top left dot offset, number of rows, and then number of columns going to be -1. We need that adjustment down. Yeah, we'd have to do range here actually. Okay, so dot range. Get messy. So dot range, anchor top left. Top left. Okay, let's try that. And then another comma, then dot address. I think another bracket rather than dot address. Okay, I think that's going to get us close. Number of cols. Number of columns. Okay, option explicit helping us again there. See what we've got. So we've got H4 to K17. Yep, so H4. Let's start from H5. So we want to exclude the headers here. So dot offset 10. There we go. Okay. That should give us the whole range. And let's just say message box calc range. F5 key here, H5 to K17. Good. And F5 here. H5 to K14, good. Let's just duplicate this column quickly. Okay, good, and now we've got H5 to L14. Seems to be working okay, good. Okay, great. So any final questions, guys? Yeah, so it looks complicated now, doesn't it? And I certainly wouldn't expect you to just like, people have just joined the stream late, you know, welcome, by the way, but they must be thinking, what on earth is going on here? But we've built this up step by step, and we've built up to a solution. This is my professional level solution, but the simpler solutions that we did first, those solutions would be good enough, as people have been saying in the chat, those solutions would be good enough, you know, for 95% of situations. So don't be discouraged if you don't understand this. It took me years to be able to understand this, just understand it, let alone be able to write it with any degree of fluency. You don't have to go this far. You know, the solution we're on 2/3 of the way through this stream, that's going to be good enough for 95% of situations, and that's going to enable you to define data sets dynamically, which is something that you know, you're going to have to do all the time in your Excel VBA practice. Yeah, so we could go ahead. You're going to have to do this You're going to have to do this yourselves, guys. Maybe put it in the comments if you're watching on the replay. But how would you then find out the average and the sum? So put it in the comments below. Haven't really got time to do it now. How would you find the average and the sum of the data in this range? At the moment, we've only got the range flashing up. If you enjoy these sessions, guys, you are going to love, I've got the Members Monday t-shirt on today. You're going to love our Members Monday learning community. And if you've enjoyed this session, you will enjoy this session too, which is the secrets of the random task generator. The random task generator being the file that I use at the beginning of these sessions, and it works using a mechanism called Monte Carlo simulation. The link is in the video description. You have to put your email in. You'll get access to that video, which is a 45-minute video. I'll also send you an automated email about Members Monday. So what it's all about, what we get up to in there, the vast range of resources. You get access to the member forums, access to me, exclusive live streams, all of that good stuff. The best way to make real progress with your Excel practice, you've felt it in this series, it's to have a little community, somewhere to turn up to, people to talk to, somebody to organize the material for you. That's what you need to make real progress with your Excel learning. And that's what we offer, guys, in Members Monday. We'd love to have you there. Good. Can't see any final questions, guys, but thank you very much for this comment from Katie. I'm really benefiting from sitting in here. It's expanding my VBA vocabulary, which is very exciting. Fantastic stuff, guys. Well, the good news is I hope we'll be back tomorrow, guys. On Tuesday, we'll be back at 4 o'clock UK time, same place for more from the 30 Excel VBA Real World Problems and Solutions series. I'll see you then.